When they found his body, something didn't make sense. His oxygen tank wasn't empty. There was still air left inside. He wasn't supposed to die down there. He was trained, experienced, careful. So what actually went wrong? Because whatever happened, it only took a few seconds to turn a normal dive into something he would never come back from. The dive started like any other. Calm water, clear visibility, nothing unusual. He had done this dozens of times before. Same depth, same gear, same routine. And most importantly, he knew exactly what he was doing. There were no signs of danger, no strong currents, no equipment warnings. Everything was normal. But then, something changed. At around 70 feet, he suddenly stopped. Not because of a problem with his tank, not because he ran out of air. In fact, his gauge still showed plenty left. And that's what makes this case so disturbing. Because whatever happened next had nothing to do with oxygen. For a few seconds, he just hovered there, not moving, not ascending, just still. And then he made a decision, a small one that most divers wouldn't even think twice about. But down there, even the smallest mistake can cost everything. What he did next is something divers are specifically trained not to do, and once it started, there was no easy way back. At first, it was subtle, a slight change in his breathing, faster than before, then a feeling he couldn't explain. Something wasn't right. Down there, at that depth, even a small shift in your mind can feel overwhelming. His heart started racing. His breaths became shorter, sharper. And that's when it happened. Panic. Not loud, not sudden. Just a quiet, creeping loss of control. He looked at his gauge again, still air left, but his body didn't care anymore. Because panic underwater doesn't follow logic. It takes over. Training disappears, experience fades, and all that's left is the instinct to escape. He should have slowed down, controlled his breathing, stayed calm, but instead, he did the one thing divers are warned about again and again. He rushed. His movements became erratic, uncontrolled. He wasn't thinking anymore. He was reacting. And in that moment, the situation shifted from dangerous to irreversible. Because once panic takes over underwater, every second matters. And he was already running out of time. By now, he wasn't thinking clearly anymore. The panic had already taken control. His breathing was unstable, fast, uneven, wasting more air than he realized. But the real danger wasn't just the panic, it was what came after. Disorientation, at that depth, with limited light, and a mind already in panic. It doesn't take much to lose your sense of direction. Up doesn't feel like up anymore. Down feels the same. Everything starts to blur together. He looked around, trying to find a reference, but there was nothing, just darkness, and his own breathing getting louder inside his head. He tried to move, to go up, but instead, he drifted the wrong way, deeper, and he didn't even realize it. This is one of the most dangerous moments for any diver, because once you lose your sense of direction underwater, every move you make can make things worse. His body was tense, his movements were rushed, and now, he was no longer in control of where he was going. The deeper he drifted, the darker it became. The pressure increased, and the silence felt heavier. But the most terrifying part, he still believed. He was trying to get back to the surface. By this point, his body was reaching its limit. The deeper he went, the more pressure built around him. And inside his body, things were starting to fail. His breathing, completely out of control now, Fast, shallow, inefficient. He was still getting air, but not the kind his body needed, because panic changes everything. It floods your system, tightens your chest, and makes every breath feel not enough. His vision started to narrow, the edges slowly fading into darkness. His hands no longer steady. Small movements became harder to control, and his mind was slipping further away from reality. This is the stage most divers never talk about. When your body is still moving, but your brain is no longer fully there. He tried to fix it, to correct his position, to slow his breathing. But it was too late. His coordination was gone. Every movement delayed, every decision slower than it should be. And underwater, seconds like that can cost everything. The pressure, the panic, the confusion, all of it combined into one final moment, a moment where his body simply couldn't keep up anymore. When they finally found him, everything looked almost normal. His gear was still in place, his tank still had air left. There were no signs of struggle, no major equipment failure, just silence, and one unanswered question. What actually killed him? The answer wasn't something visible. It wasn't the tank. It wasn't the depth. It was something far more subtle and far more dangerous. Panic, followed by disorientation. A chain reaction that happens quietly, but escalates fast. He didn't run out of air. He lost control. And underwater, losing control is all it takes, because down there, you don't get second chances. You don't get time to think. And sometimes, even when everything looks fine, it already isn't. This is why divers are trained to stay calm, no matter what, because the real danger isn't always what you see, but what happens inside your own mind.